I never thought a single decision would change the way I carried memories for the rest of my life, but when I invited my brother to stay with me, what happened during those weeks became etched in my heart like an unshakable echo. My brother and I had always shared a complicated bond. Growing up, we were close but often distant at the same time, like two sides of a mirror reflecting back both similarities and differences. He was the dreamer, always lost in thought, while I was the practical one who grounded myself in routines. When our parents passed away, I had been the one to settle their affairs, the one who tied the loose ends while he drifted in and out, unable to bear the weight of responsibility. For years after that, we lived separate lives. I moved into the city, built a career, and surrounded myself with friends who filled the empty space of family. He stayed in our small hometown, moving from one job to another, restless, never quite finding his footing. But then one late evening, my phone buzzed with a message from him. "I need a place to stay. Can I come to you?" At first, I hesitated. Old wounds and unresolved arguments replayed in my head, the countless times I felt like I carried the family burden alone while he floated through life without accountability. Yet underneath that hesitation was something softer, something I could not deny. The memory of us as children, running through fields, sharing secrets at night, believing that we would always have each other no matter what. So I wrote back, "Yes, come. My door is open." When he arrived, carrying a worn-out bag and a tired smile, something about him felt fragile, as though life had chipped away at him piece by piece. I welcomed him in, and as he stepped across the threshold, I felt a strange mix of relief and unease. It was as though by letting him into my home, I had opened the door to more than just his presence. I had invited back all the history we never faced. The first nights were simple. We sat together, sharing meals, catching up on the years that had stretched between us. He told me about jobs that never lasted, relationships that fell apart, the weight of loneliness he carried like a shadow. I listened, sometimes with understanding, sometimes with frustration, wondering why he always seemed to lose his way. But slowly something shifted in me. The more he talked, the more I realized he was not careless, not indifferent, but deeply wounded by things he never spoke of before. He confessed that after our parents died, he felt invisible, as though the world had turned its back on him, and instead of facing the pain, he drifted through life pretending it didn't matter. One evening, while the rain tapped against the windows, he opened up in a way that startled me. His voice trembled as he spoke about nights he spent walking aimlessly through empty streets, feeling like no one would notice if he disappeared. I had never seen him so vulnerable, and it broke something inside me. I reached across the table, not with grand gestures, but with the quiet steadiness of someone who finally understood. I told him he was not invisible to me, that I had noticed him all along even when we fought, even when we pulled apart. He looked at me then with eyes that carried both relief and regret, and in that silent exchange, I felt the bond of family knitting itself back together. Yet, what haunts me most is not the pain we shared but the beauty hidden within those days. For the first time in years, we laughed like children again. We stayed up late telling stories about our childhood, remembering the silly games, the nights we whispered secrets under blankets, the moments when life felt simple. I saw glimpses of the brother I once knew, the dreamer who could light up a room with his imagination. In those moments, my home felt alive, filled with the warmth of connection that I had missed for so long. But life has a way of reminding us that nothing is permanent. Just when I thought we had found a new rhythm, my brother told me he planned to leave. He had been offered a chance to work abroad, a fresh start he could not ignore. I wanted to be happy for him, but a heavy weight pressed against my chest. I feared that letting him go meant losing him all over again. On his last night, we sat quietly on the balcony, watching the city lights flicker in the distance. He turned to me and said, "You saved me. You don't even know it, but by letting me stay here, you gave me hope again." His words sank deep into me, leaving me speechless. I wanted to tell him how much those weeks meant to me too, how they healed parts of me I didn't know were broken. Instead, I simply nodded, afraid my voice would betray the tears that threatened to fall. The morning he left, I stood at the door, watching him walk away with that same worn-out bag, but this time his steps seemed lighter, filled with purpose. I waved, forcing a smile, and when he disappeared into the crowd, I closed the door and leaned against it, feeling the silence of the apartment wrap around me. It was then I realized that his stay would forever haunt me, not because of pain, but because of the profound reminder that love, in its purest form, is found in the quiet moments we often take for granted. Even now, years later, I carry that haunting with me. Every time it rains, I remember the night he opened his heart to me. Every time I see an old photograph, I remember the laughter that echoed in my apartment during those weeks. And every time I feel lonely, I remind myself that connection is never lost as long as we hold on to the memories of those we love. Inviting my brother to stay changed me. It taught me that love is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is found in shared meals, in listening without judgment, in offering space for someone to simply exist without fear. It taught me that even broken bonds can be mended, and that family, no matter how complicated, is a gift worth holding on to. What happened still haunts me, but in that haunting, I find comfort, because it is not a ghost of regret but a reminder of the beauty of being human, of caring, of forgiving, and of remembering that we are never truly alone. In the years that followed, I often replayed those weeks in my mind, sometimes wishing I had done more, said more, hugged him longer before he left. But perhaps what mattered most was not the words or the gestures, but the simple truth that I let him in when he needed me most. That decision, made in a moment of hesitation, became the bridge that reconnected us, and though he is far away now, that bridge still stands in my heart. And so, when I think back to that night I received his message, the night I chose to say yes, I understand why it haunts me. It is because in that choice, I found not only my brother again but also a piece of myself I thought was lost. It is a haunting that reminds me of love's quiet power, and it is one I will carry with me for the rest of my life.